This is episode 21 of the A Free Spirit Life podcast. Hi, thanks so much for being here. I'm Shannon Kinney-Duh, creator of AFreeSpiritLife.com and a holistic life and spiritual coach. Today, I am interviewing a dear friend of mine. We are online friends. Her name is Angie Peladeau, and she is a success coach, an entrepreneur, and a mom to 4 kids. Angie and I met almost 9 years ago when I offered my very first online course. At the time, it was called Inside Out, a creative adventure of self-discovery. And Angie signed up for my very first course. I was nervous. I didn't know what I was doing. This was before I knew what Twitter was or how to write a blog. And it became this experience that I continued to share online for over 8 years. Angie shares a little bit about her experience, about what drew her to that course, but she really goes deeply into her own facings of self-doubt, how she has had challenges and big ones in her life that have kind of changed the direction of her life and really allowed her to make her dreams a reality. She is all about getting beyond the stage of just dreaming about your life and really taking the mindful action, being intentional with your success, and living the life that you're dreaming about. But she does this in a very holistic, personal way. So I know you're going to love this show. This is for anyone who is feeling a little burned out in your own life, burned out maybe in your own job, your own family life, or if you're running a business or thinking of starting one, she's going to be a great resource for you. So before we dive deeply into the show, I do want to shout out to my recent review. Lindsay took the time to write to me, and she shares, I just started listening, and I cannot adequately describe how your podcasts are affecting me. I feel like this is exactly what I wanted and needed to hear. The past year or so in my life, I have spent really trying to better myself. Sometimes I feel like my life is unfulfilling. Thank you for your words of encouragement. I listen every morning to give me the spirit to make the most of my days. I can't wait to hear more stories and insights. I have a growing list of female role models, and you've made the list already. Wow. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for reaching out and for sharing. I appreciate all of you who take the time to share how these podcasts are affecting your life. If you listen on iTunes or Stitcher, you can leave a review right there, or you can email me anytime, Shannon@AFreeSpiritLife.com. So as we get into the show today, I do want you to know that there are a few moments where the connection of our conversation, meaning the internet connection, goes in and out a little bit, but be patient because you are going to really want to listen to the show all the way through. Make sure to get to the very end where Angie offers her free gift. And I just think we got to go right there because it's so, so good. So thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Hey, Angie, welcome to the show. I'm so happy that we have this time together.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here with you.
I know. We've been online friends now we were figuring that out, about 9 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's gone so fast.
Online friends, we've never met. I still have this dream we're going to meet in person one day. I just know it's going to happen. Maybe in Costa Rica.
Oh, maybe at one of your retreats.
Oh, yeah. Well, until then, we're finally speaking in person, and I'm just so excited to share you with my community, and so many already know you. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, what part of the world you live in, and what stage of family life you're in?
Yes, absolutely. So I am first and foremost mama to 4 wonderful kids. I am actually married to my high school sweetheart. In terms of what I do, I am a success coach supporting entrepreneurial women. I have lots of fun with them. These are women who are often feeling frustrated just with not seeing the results from their efforts that they know they could be having. So I help them align their efforts and navigate a plan so that they can increase their impact. I live on a sweet little homestead. We have 36 acres that we run and play on, and I live way out in the country in a little village actually called Jasper, and it is in Ontario, Canada. Now, so much fun. Now, the kids have grown so quickly in terms of stage of life. They are now 15, 16, 21, and 23. And our two oldest, I'm so proud of them. They are already out on their own, spreading their wings, doing their thing, living their dreams. And my husband and I are at home enjoying the other two kids and just really, really grateful to be able to be really engaged and included in so much of their daily lives and just their interests and activities, spending this time with them.
It's so wonderful, and how rewarding just to see your kids thriving out in the world. Isn't it crazy?
Some days it's the greatest joy, and other days, honestly, I really miss having them out all at home. It's great to see them doing their thing, but there are days that you wish family dinner still was a full table of six and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk more about your success coaching. But before we get into all of that, we mentioned that we met online 9 years ago, and you, I think, took my very first online course that I ever offered. And for me at that time, I was a mom to one toddler, and I wanted to stay home, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And so I took a leap of faith, and I think you were part of my class. It had like 72 women in it, and I didn't even know like what Twitter was or a blog. I was just like fumbling and trying to figure stuff out, and it was such a great experience. And that's how I remember you and I meeting. And I feel like you were going through stuff too. At that time, you would have been in the thick of raising pretty young kids. And can you remember that time when we met and kind of what drew you to take that course in the first place, and how your life has changed from then to now?
Oh my goodness. First, I'm so glad you did what you did. That was such a profound time in my life. I had actually just sold, I owned a chain of 3 retail stores, and I had decided I wanted to come back home and be with the kids, be that stay-at-home mom that I used to be, and I wanted more freedom and more time to be with my family. However, what I was experiencing once I got back home was some really, honestly, unexpected culture shock. Making that move was huge. Working outside the home, being able to go to work each day, that kept me really busy. I had lots of social interactions, and, 4 young kids at home, I missed a lot of the day-to-day chaos that happens just with having little ones. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't accustomed to it. So coming home to it and having it 24/7, it was a lot to go through. It was much more of a transition than what I anticipated. So Inside Out was exactly what I needed, because I had to teach myself, and I needed other people like you to teach me that it was more than okay for me to take time for myself every day. And that's really what moved me through. And that course supported my transition back home tremendously. And I can remember still today packing up my bag. I had this little art bag and my journal and my blanket. And I'd go out in the woods and I'd spread out my blanket and I'd do our daily prompts. So it was amazing for me.
It's so wonderful to hear, because I remember at that time, especially it being my first class, and I was doing the same thing. I was, trying to figure out how to do this and reach out to people, and it was working, and such a joy for me to see that what I was sharing was being used and being
Oh,
helpful. And I remember you sharing with the group and the community that we built. And so that just makes me so happy that it had an impact in your life.
oh, incredible. Incredible.
So back then, I remember you owning a farm. And I think you were kind of, figuring all of that out. And it sounded so impressive to me. It was this amazing, right? You were selling like vegetables. And are you still doing that?
So life has transitioned, of
Mm-hmm.
course. To tell you the truth, this is the first year that we are not officially operating our farm as a business. So we're not open to the public anymore. This is our first year transitioning completely out of it. We kept doing it for years. I was a part of it for many years. In the last few years, my husband largely ran it independently, with me doing more of the behind the scenes things. So we're not doing it the way we were.
So how does that feel? How does that feel for you doing it differently this year?
It's such a joy, and
Mm-hmm.
I love doing the farm. It was something that afforded us an amazing life, an opportunity with the kids we never could have had without it. And it is a joy moving on to, what next? We're in such a different stage of our life now, with the kids being older and all of those things. It allows me to do what I do in different ways, which is really special. Yeah, we'll never not farm to some degree. It's such
Mm-hmm.
a big part of who we are as a family. It just looks different than it used to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of something I've observed about you, even, from afar over these last 9 years. It seems like even though it might be scary to do something different or go through a transition, it feels like you go for it anyway. Like I don't feel this hesitation. I mean, I'm sure it's different behind the scenes, but I see you to be a pretty adventurous person. I know you travel a lot. Where do you get that? Is it this innate courage that you have, or how do you find really your courage to make these changes that you're feeling these nudges to do?
Wow, great question. I don't know if I'm being really honest that I'd call it courage. I do have lots of fear, just like everybody else, and I always try and remind people, it's such a natural state. It's a big part of our lives. We can't wait for it to be gone until we decide to move forward. So that is something there that I'm really, really deeply rooted in. It's always going to be there, but I like to think that as how I choose to move through it. If I'm experiencing discomfort or uncertainty or fear around something that I'm wanting to do, or not always wanting to do. Sometimes it's a need to shift and change. And when the fear sets in, what I like to do personally is I really check inside of myself. Spirituality is a big thing for me. Personal growth and personal development is very important to me. So I'm always reflecting back, asking myself when what's masked as fear is there something deeper? So is there a deeper issue? Maybe it's fear being judged or uncertainty or not feeling worthy or any number of things. And I like to just look at it for what it is and then move forward from there, which always makes it so much easier. Yeah, it just feels so much easier in doing so.
Would you say that that kind of practice is helping you stay connected to your intuition? Is that what you would call it that's guiding you? Is it something bigger than that?
I would say it's definitely, there is a component of that for sure. I'm very plugged into all of that and I listen very, very deeply to it. I would like to say, and I do believe deeply, there is definitely something bigger at work here. Um, I've had so many opportunities to grow and to grow in completely new directions that I know it's got to be something bigger than just me. A lot of what I do now, well, it really stems from a lot of the teachings that I've been fortunate enough to have and accumulate over the years. Um, at the times when I probably had the most fear, interestingly enough.
So you mentioned that you were hit by a drunk driver a few years ago. Tell
Oh,
me
yeah.
about that, and how has that shaped where you are today?
Yeah, that is huge. So that happened, believe it or not, it was Christmas Eve day. My youngest daughter and I were going to pick up a fresh Christmas turkey, and the gentleman just rammed us.
Mm.
So it was something, it was a shocking, traumatic experience for sure. It was quite an experience. And it is something that certainly has shifted me from where I was into where I am and who I am today. At that point, I was farming full time, and that was not only myself and my husband were farming full time. That was my only income. I had developed the only farming model of its kind in our province, and at that point, I had begun already coaching other farmers as to how they could implement our farming model. What ended up from the accident was I had a major neck injury, and it was pretty simple. I couldn't farm the way that I had been up until that point, so something needed to shift. And so I focused all of my attention on the coaching aspect because I could sit on the couch, I could have a laptop on my lap, I could prop my arms up, I could do all of the things, and that felt so much more empowering than focusing on the things I couldn't do and the discomfort and the pain and whatnot. So, I did that hoping that as soon as I healed, I could get back out to the animals in the gardens because it's something I'm really passionate about. Of course, it didn't happen quite as I had planned. And so, which is a big part of why we're no longer farming the way we were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also why I'm doing what I do now. It was an amazing journey and a transition, really. I had to learn, what did I desire to do now and how did I want this life to look? Because it was completely different. And, one thing I know that is true is that I would have never gotten to where I am now if that wasn't part of my experience, because that experience was actually the catalyst for my personal growth and my spiritual growth. So it was a pretty, it was a big, big deal in a good way. It was hard, but I look at it as a big part of my growth journey.
Wow. Has it helped you to kind of see those challenges or other roadblocks that you face, even with it's hard to say sense of gratitude towards them, but, this understanding that that's just the next part of your life? And does it help you accept some of those challenges?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. We have had some really strange happenings within our family and our extended family. We've lost some people that were quite young, things that are really, really challenging and traumatic. And, I have to share, I would not have been able to only support myself through them, but support other people through them and seeing them for, they bring up sadness and all of those things, and no one wants to go through them, but we're able to see them in a very different light. Like you said, it's part of the journey. It's just part of the experience of life that's allowing us to really shift and shaping us to be bigger, wholer individuals.
I love that. It reminds me of some women I'm currently working with who are going through their own set of struggles right now and kind of having a hard time seeing beyond it, especially when you're in it, right? When you're in the thick
Oh,
of that,
yeah.
it's impossible really sometimes to see what the reason is or why we're going through this. And what could you say to those who are listening who are maybe losing faith a little bit, or who, want to believe that there's something, greater that after this challenge? Or what would you say to those who are struggling right now in their own challenges?
This might not be the popular response, but I always go back to be willing to feel it. Don't try and resist it.
Yes.
Try not to push it away. The discomfort is real. The pain, the suffering, it's real. And I truly believe that until we are willing to stand right in the center of it, like deep in it, and feel it with every cell of our body, it's okay to fall to your knees and fall apart. It's okay to go to bed at night crying and sobbing. It's okay to allow it to be how it is, to let it make you feel the way you feel. You don't need to change it. And for me, that was a big piece of healing, was allowing myself to go through those components without desperately needing it to be differently. And I totally get that sounds like the impossible thing to do in the moment. So I guess I would say focus on just feel the way you feel without making yourself wrong for feeling that way.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I asked you that. I was just actually today even reading Pema Chodron. She has a book.
Oh, yeah.
Being okay with uncertainty, and I'll share the title in the show notes. But it's one of those books you can just like read one page, and that is exactly what it was about. It was about how when we experience fear, when we experience it, we either want to resist it or we want to repress it, or any feeling that isn't deemed pleasurable, right? It's, we think that pain is not a part of life. We've been told that. We see it everywhere we go. And so we are constantly trying to repress it or to resist it. And so I think I hear you saying that, like, if you can just not repress it, not resist it, but feel it, allow those feelings to be there. Pema says that, it's really impossible to fully be present if we're always trying to hide away from those unpleasant feelings. And so I like your honesty with that answer, even though it's hard to hear sometimes. I think that's the cycle we tend to not be able to break, is when we're feeling crappy, when we're going through that challenge, we think we have to fix something and make it go away.
Yes, exactly.
And allowing it and just it being in there and understanding it's temporary, and that you probably will even learn something about yourself in that moment of feeling, I think is really powerful.
It's so powerful. Shannon, I often have experienced that my deepest suffering actually comes from the desire of wanting it to be different, as opposed to what I'm going through in the moment. If I'm just really present with, in this moment, this is what's true right now. Everything in this moment right now is always perfect. Like, I am fine right now in this second.
Yes.
But the desire for any situation, where it's what we perceive is going to happen in the future, or if it's what we know has happened in the past, we can't shift it. But our idea of wanting to shift it, for me anyway, creates so much suffering.
So that makes me think about the practice, because when you're in it, it's hard to just snap yourself out of it. But there are ways, whether it's, connecting to your breath or using a positive affirmation or a quote or journaling or yoga. There's all these different tools. In fact, that's what we've done a lot in my courses. What works for you? Do you have a certain mantra that you go to, or a daily ritual or practice that helps you remember what we're talking about? Remember to be in this moment, and that this moment is the only moment you have.
There is, it pretty much sounds exactly like you just said and that I said previously. In this moment, all is perfect. And every time we go through any type of, whether it be tragedy, trauma, we lost my husband best summer due to a car accident, and it was quite. This is going to sound bizarre. It was the most incredible experience. It was terrible, but watching so many people come together that could carry forward that mantra, it was a true gift to see so many people hold on to that as their prayer from moment to moment. And it really allowed me to see the power of really sinking into that. And, when I said it to them, I didn't mean it to be so big, but to see the effects of it was really, it was a huge gift for me. So that would be I like to call that my walking prayer. Anytime I come across something that has the potential to really throw you a curveball, I go back to reminding myself, in this moment, all is perfect.
I love it. I really do love mantras and affirmations, and I think, that's a good one. Doesn't it just bring peace hearing it? It just makes me feel more peaceful right now.
It does.
Yeah. So tell me what a success coach is and how would you define success?
I love this. So for me, what lights me up and what it means to me personally is when I can support and encourage a woman to stop dreaming her life and start living her dream.
Ooh, can you say that again?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Yeah. I always say it. Stop dreaming your life and begin living your dream.
Love it.
That's success to me.
Okay, so I know I get emails all the time from these women who are listening to this show, thanking me for this podcast. So I'm so grateful for those of you who've reached out. And I can think of several right now who are saying, I work for a big corporation. I, am not happy in my life right now. I do have these dreams. And maybe self-doubt's getting in the way. Maybe the timing's not right. I'm not sure what the block is, but for those women, I have these dreams. How do I? What are some steps I can take to stop dreaming my life away and really start living those dreams?
Oh, I'll share with you what was key for me. When I first began a business, and I'm going to start with this because if they have the hope to one day, they will probably hear it themselves when people will say, know your why. They'll say, know your why you want to do this. And I don't look at it that way. I don't believe our why is nearly as important or as powerful as being able to see our what. And what I mean by that is getting really clear on a vision of what will my life look like when this dream that I have already happened. So what will I be doing each morning when I wake up? Who will I enjoy spending my day with? Where might I be vacationing? What's my favorite part of the day? Where will I live? Who will be there with me? What kind of vehicle will I drive? How am I feeling, as I'm relaxing, enjoying breakfast unrushed with my loved ones, and that's all before I even begin my workday. How do my evenings look? How do my evenings feel? To me, if we can have a clear vision and see our what. So what are the answers to all those questions? When we can paint that bigger picture, I believe it's so much more powerful than just stating why we want to do it. Because truth be told, we all want freedom of one sort or another. It may be many different things. But that doesn't lead us to knowing exactly what freedom is going to bring us. So I like to look at that. I believe that when we can see it and feel it, that the vision comes stronger than the fear and the self-doubt. So the vision is stronger than the fear. And what happens is the time that we spend focusing on that then allows it to come to us so much more effortlessly.
I love that because I think we get caught up in focusing on what isn't working, what we don't have, what we wish we could see differently. And a big
Yes.
thing that keeps us blocked is we think, but how? How?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Don't we get stuck on not even what I find is we stop ourselves from even dreaming or getting to the clear vision because we just focus on, well, how's that ever going to happen? How is it going to happen?
Yeah. And I tell women all the time, the how is not your responsibility. It's not up to you to know how. You shouldn't know how because you have never done it. So how on earth could we believe that we're going to know how to do it?
Do you think focusing on how limits our dreams?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. If I had to know the answer of how to everything I've done, my word, I would not have done nearly what I've done. It's the trust. It really is. And I know trust is not easy. So I don't want to make light of it and just say everyone should trust everything into happening. But when we stop focusing on the how, when we can see what we want and trust ourselves in knowing what baby step we need to take next, it's inevitable that we're going to get there. If we see it, trust, and just take one baby step at a time.
I love that because sometimes I hear the people fighting about this where, just trust the universe. Well, then where does the action, where does that, you
Yeah.
need both,
Yeah.
right? Just like we have a left and right hemisphere and we have night and day and
Yeah.
inhale and exhale. But the trust piece, I think, is so lacking for so many of us, understandably. But so thank you for stating that yes, we want to practice the trusting. We want to, allow, but you also need to take, I call it mindful action, baby step, whatever it is, you still need to create some movement, right?
Yes, every day. That is such a big part when you had asked about how would I define success coaching? It is, I love that you use the word mindful action. I might borrow that from you. I always call it inspired action or the right action. So you can want all you want, you can dream, you can vision, but until you're willing to take that action, nothing can happen. It's our responsibility. Our success and our dreams are our responsibility, and we have to make it happen.
Yes. So I was going to ask you about, those who want to start a business or who are wanting to grow a business but feeling self-doubt. How can they move forward? But it sounds to me like you're encouraging them. The first step is to get clear about your vision. Get clear about
Absolutely.
what do you
Absolutely.
want? And I ask that a lot in my coaching. What is it? What do you want? And if you really soak that question in, that's the reflection you're talking about, getting in tune with what you want. Sometimes we really don't know because we haven't allowed ourselves that space. And so be patient with yourself and keep asking. That's what I'd say. Keep asking. What is it you want?
Keep asking. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ask over and over and over and allow for the answer to change and shift.
So I know that, building a healthy foundation in your business is important to you. And for those women who are running their own heart-centered business or they're entrepreneurs, but they're also kind of in that place of maybe they're not making money from it or just struggling, kind of burnt out a little bit. What can you say to those women who maybe have this clear vision? They know where they want to go, but maybe they're not finding a sustainable business yet or making an income from it.
Yeah, important question. Anytime the money question comes up, I always go back to the same thing. So my belief is that life is relationship. And with that, business is part of life, which for me means that the foundation of any successful, sustainable business has got to be built upon relationship. So within my work, what I've developed is a system, we'll call it, that has four foundational elements. So what they are, it begins with community, it goes into relatability, it grows into visibility, which in turn provides profitability. And when we bring those four elements together, they all actually support one another. I call it closing the loop. So they're all nurturing each other, those four elements. And what happens is each of those four elements also support the vision that we had just spoken about earlier. And it's that foundation that holds you up in the most challenging times. So if we look at it a little bit deeper, when we're not making the income that we believe we know we should be making, because often it's not a matter of we can't make that money, or that our courses and offerings are not worthy of that. But most often, what happens when the money question comes up is that there's a piece indicating we're not speaking. So, back to the relationship part, exactly to exactly who it is that needs what we offer. So often it's actually our messaging that's become really broad, and that happens because we like to feel like we can serve everyone, and we don't want to leave anyone out, and that's a wonderful thing. However, what happens is we're trying to widen the net, but in fact we end up cutting holes in the net and people fall right through. So when the money component comes up, I always go back to thinking about it in terms of relationship and gaining clarity around who is your most impactful client? Who is it you desire to serve the most? And knowing exactly what they need is key to be able to connect with them. Um, when we connect with them clearly, it's easy for them to hear us. And when they can hear us, they're naturally going to be guided straight to us.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. In fact, I've gone that road. I've done that thing.
Okay.
I've totally started out as the person who wants to help everyone. I want to help
Yeah, me too.
everyone. And I heard
Yes.
that from another business coach a while back that it really stuck with me, just what you said, which is, of course we do. We want to help everyone. But a lot of those people that we're trying to help aren't necessarily there yet. They're not at the mindset or even at the
That's right.
they probably won't even ever pay to get the help that you're wanting to give them. And so, God, that was a big lesson for me to understand. And again, I think it goes back to trusting that the people who I want to draw in will find me as I'm getting
Yes.
clearer and clearer, and to really let go of this desire to help everyone, because I can't. And they're not, and it's not paying me, and it's not helping my family.
Yeah, I feel like it's not possible for it to happen any other way. When we can trust and know exactly who it is we desire to serve, the rest will naturally flow.
And I want women to hear that, because I know so many who are burned out because they're trying to help everyone. And then they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking, well, God, maybe my idea isn't as good as I thought it was, or my business. And then they just want to give up completely. And it's like, no, I want you to understand. And I see that. And I guess going from my own experience, it's like, oh my God, I'm seeing the result of that. It's actually, I can make a living doing this instead of just trying to
Yes.
oh, sure, I'll let you take my course for free, and all these things that I would do hoping. And it's like, I see it's happening. And, you can still offer, a podcast. Anyone can listen to that and they don't have to pay for it. So you can still offer and allow people to hear your message. And when they're ready, then when they have the mindset and when they have the financial ability to pay you, they will. But to look and
Yes.
see. So let's talk about burnout a little bit, because I think that's a
Oh,
part of
yeah.
it. What would you say to those people who are really got a good heart and they really have this great message, but they're feeling the burnout?
Okay, so you brought up mindset, so I'm going to dive in deep here just for a second, if that's okay.
Yes. I'm obsessed with
Okay,
mindset. Go for it.
okay, excellent. So my experience has been, and I speak to this because it's my truth. I have done this myself. I always say two hands in the air with this one, right? I did it, I did it, I get it. But as soon as we're experiencing the burnout and fall into that thought pattern of, oh my goodness, I give so much and I'm not feeling supported by the people I'm giving to, I always have to go back to one thing. And I honestly believe that we are caught in a cycle of seeking significance.
Hmm.
So I feel like we're coming from an energy of potentially not feeling worthy of the success that we desire. And that is hindering our trust in narrowing our vision and really getting clear on who it is we want to serve. Thereby, we'll take that, we'll take those people, whoever will see us, because we all desire to be seen. It's a natural desire, there's nothing wrong with it. But we can see the outcome of trying to please so many really is not supportive of our own growth, whether it be financial growth, personal growth, business growth, because we're seeking the significance outside of ourselves. So for me, the burnout is very much self induced by me not feeling okay with saying, I want to serve this type of person.
And I see it not just in business, as you said. Like I'm thinking of the women who are over committing in their life,
Yes.
over giving, not setting boundaries. My last show was all about how to set boundaries. We do that a lot of times, and I always say it's like the too much, not enough cycle, where we do too much when we don't feel enough, and we're trying to fill that hole,
Yes.
right? That we're not, and so then we're doing all of the chores in the house, and we're cooking all of the meals, and we're doing everything for the childcare and running, a full-time business or going to work full-time or whatever. But all these
Yes.
women are overwhelmed by the responsibilities that they've taken on. And so I want everyone to listen that it's not just about business, but it's about your life. That when we're not feeling worthy, or if we feel we have to do more to prove something, seeking to be seen. And
Yes.
I love it. So how do we start changing that mindset?
Oh boy, that's a big question. This is a 10-year journey for me.
Right.
Um, how do we change that mindset? For me, I'm going to say it in a really simple way. Be willing to be honest with yourself. Be really honest and do it. I love to journal. Journaling for me is like medicine. Um, I allow myself to write things in a journal that I might not be willing to say out loud. Even if it's just out loud in the woods to myself, I might not be comfortable to say it out loud. But when I can just get clear on why I'm choosing to do the things I'm doing that aren't feeling good and be okay with the answer, not to make myself wrong, not to have to change it, just to be really able to witness where I'm at in this stage of my life. Because when I can see it, I can be free of it. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the truth of my experience. I went to India and I studied there for a couple of months. And one of the things we came away with was a saying that the teacher there had always said, and it was, to see is to be free. And I didn't understand it at the time, but it is a part of my daily truth each and every day moving forward. And when we can see what's happening within us, whether that be our actions or our thoughts, then that releases, I'll say, the grip that it has on you, really. So I've stopped trying to change my mindset and I've started really working on acknowledging and witnessing where I am in any moment. Because I don't think I need to change
Mm-hmm.
how I'm feeling or what I'm doing. I just think I need to understand it for the truth of what it is.
Yes. And I love your word witness or observe. If we
Yeah.
understand that, that's what blew me away when I first discovered yoga many, many years ago, is when I learned the concept that I am not my thoughts. And that changed
Yeah.
everything for me. And I think that's so helpful. That you mean what? There's something more to that we're not these thoughts that say I'm not good enough, that I'm not going to be like her. Well, yes, she may be successful, but I won't be, or I'm an idiot, or I'm too old, or I could never, whatever we do are thoughts, but that's not who we are. And so when we learn to step back and witness and observe, and I think that's why I'm a journal buddy with you. I think that's why journaling for me too has been so instrumental in my life, because it's tangible. It's not just to say, oh, just observe your
Yeah.
thoughts and be a witness and sit back and watch. But it's when
Yes.
you dump, right? When you put that pen to paper and you're honest and you're kind and you're curious. Like I like to tell people, because if you think someone's going to read your journal and you're afraid, you're not going to really be honest, right? In writing in that journal.
That's
So
right.
you've got to feel like
Yeah.
safe. And I think of it like a safe and sacred place. And when you're honest, what I have found is when you go back later and read the journal, you're like, what the? I mean, I'm still thinking this way,
No
right?
kidding.
That's the clarity I think you're seeing, is like we're forgetful if we just let it roam and wake us up at night again and again and be in our mind.
Mm,
But when you put it there
yes,
and you
that's it.
see it, that's what I think journaling does, is it helps you. What you said is to see is to be free. That's a very good, tangible way to start seeing your thoughts and how you're gripped by them.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important for our growth, for us to free ourselves.
So that's the inner work that I think brought us together. Tell me, what do you do for fun? What inspires you? And I know that travel is a big thing for you. And I've got to circle back to that, because every time I see you, on Facebook, like, where is she? And it's not just like going to visit Costa Rica or wherever you go. It's like you're living there for a few months. So tell me about what you do in your outer life that's fun, inspired, and about your travels.
Yeah, travel is definitely a big part. And I don't want to make it sound super easy. It's taken a lot of years. So you're right. We generally take off for 2 months a year and pack up the family and just step out of what I like to think of day-to-day happenings. It's super, super important for us now at this stage in our lives, at this stage in our children's lives, to connect in that way, like to let go of daily life responsibilities and happenings and all the stuff going on that happens here at home and just forget it and go be a family. Um, and it's really important to us because we started our family quite young. I mean, by the time I was 27, I had 4 children. So we this isn't something we're always able to do, but we're super grateful to be able to do it now. Um, Okay, so one of the biggest passions I have, and it probably isn't going to sound like it's my fun, but it produces so much fun for me. I am an encourager of the most unrealistic dreams that my kids have.
Oh.
So I get such joy out of seeing them just embody who they truly are. They have some pretty big dreams, and to witness them and support them in realizing them is something that brings me joy daily. Um, I think it's because I was one of those kids who was always told my dreams were too big or not realistic. I kind of stood on the sidelines of life and watched everybody else had the fun. I spent my school years wishing I had the courage to do those things. And so that's what brings me a lot of fun now is just doing things even when they are big. When other people say, oh, that's not realistic, that's my first sign that I need to jump in and do it. And not to prove anything to anyone, but more to remind myself that there is no dream that's too big. You know, um, I got to take it back to Inside Out for a minute. Remember our journaling. And I know the day it happened that I found this journal, I sent you a photo of it.
Yes.
But in that journal, what was 9 years ago, you had us write a list of, we were dumping, we were just journaling anything we would do if the sky was the limit and it wasn't dependent upon money or time or ability, but just a brain dump. And I did what you said. I let the pen do the writing and I never paid mind to it again. And then back in 2000 and I think it was 2016 this happened. I went away with my daughter. We did an outing and we came home, and about a week later, I for some reason picked up that journal. And in that journal, it had said, "Go skydiving." And that was what I did with my daughter.
Oh,
We went off. She was going away to college, and her dream was for her and I to go skydiving. Now, I had all the fear in the world around it, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't going to stop me. Like, that was her dream. She wanted to do this before she headed off to college. So she said, "I'm doing this with or without you. Are you coming?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she asked, "When?" And I said, "Book it for
oh
tomorrow."
my gosh. That's really smart.
Yeah,
You couldn't give
I know.
yourself time to get out of it.
That's yeah, exactly. So now, like those are the types of things that are important to me. That's the fun in my life. Just really supporting the kids. Our 16-year-old just this weekend, or this past week, actually got his first flights in for having his lightweight aircraft. He does paramotoring with my husband. And seeing him be able to do that with my husband just is something that's absolutely incredible. So lots of fun like that.
I love it. I love it. And what a gift. I mean, obviously, your kids are a gift to you, and you're such a gift to them that you are supporting and encouraging even the most unrealistic of dreams. So that is beautiful. And you're going to have to resend, if you find that photo, I'm sure you have it somewhere of you two skydiving. I'd love to share it because that brought me so much joy
Yes.
when you shared that with me. Amazing. And it shows the power of that, of just trusting that when we put things down on paper and we explore and we allow ourselves to vision, so many times it happens. It happens
Yes.
again and again. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said that you had a free gift for our listeners. Can you share more about that and how they can learn more about you and get in touch?
Absolutely. I'm super excited. When we connected, I was just designing this, so it's brand new. It is called The Sacred Art of Content Creation. So, again, going back to knowing that women in business often have challenges around communicating effectively to build lasting relationships with the people that are really their most impactful client. So, for me, it's important to share ways that can make that a lot easier and that can really deepen those connections. So, that's what this offering is built upon. It is a live free elevation offering, which is going to run much like a live webinar. Not the same, but similar in case people are wondering what an elevation offering is. And now I know we have a difference in time zones. It's happening July 25th and it's at 7 p.m. But the beauty is that anyone that's registered, if the time zone and day don't work, it's not a worry because I am simply going to send them off the recording and the workbook so that they can watch it when it's a good fit.
Wonderful. Okay, so I will share the link and information on how to get that free gift in the show notes. So you'll just go to afreespiritlife.com and look for this episode. And Angie, tell them your website too so that they can just learn more about you.
Oh, fantastic. So I can be found at angiepeladeau.com. So just my name. Everything's right there.
Okay, well, I am so grateful for you, and I'm so happy that we had this time over the last 9 years to grow our online friendship. But I can't wait to see where you go with this next. And I'm going to sign up for your free gift because that sounds wonderful. And I'm going to keep making sure that I have a clear vision of where I'm going next. So thank you for being such an inspiration to me and to everyone else.
Oh, thank you for letting me share this time with you. It has been such a journey, and I'm excited to see what happens over our next 9 years together.
Absolutely. I know. Soon I'll be telling you that I've got one moving out. That's gonna make me.
Don't rush it, it goes too
I
quick.
know, that's right. I won't.
Oh,
All right. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Wasn't that inspiring? I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I do. For Angie's free gift, just go to afreespiritlife.com and find episode 21. There in the show notes, you'll find all the links to what we talked about, as well as where you can sign up to get her free gift. Also, since we talked a little bit about my e-courses, I am giving my Live Freely Circle a makeover this fall, and I'm offering some new courses within that circle. And I will be sharing that information shortly. So if you're not on my mailing list and you want to be, make sure to sign up for my mailing list. You'll also get a free self-care toolkit and more goodies to come, because this is going to be an amazing new program that it's incorporating all my past e-courses into the online membership. I know you're going to love it, and I want you to be a part of it. So make sure that you sign up so that you can get all that information as it's starting to be released, and more details to come. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.
And I believe it's true.